So as I'm sure that you've seen by the title of this video, by the thumbnail probably, this is not a clickbait title, this is not a clickbait video. Yes, I was in a car accident and I really wanted to talk about, while it's still kind of fresh, I really want to talk about what I learned from it, as well as talking about the accident itself. And really, all praise to God, to be honest with you. I'm just gonna kind of give you the whole scenario first, and then I will kind of share what I've learned from that experience and moving forward. It was July 1st, so it has not been that long. Me and my sister go on these little night drives. The town that we live in, they have like a bunch of areas surrounding the town. So you have like the core part of the town. You have kind of like, I just call it countryside because like the countryest of countryside you can get in California, because it's just kind of like the back roads. It's, you know, there's a lot of orchards surrounding our town. And so me and my sister decided that we were gonna go on a night drive that night. We've done it before. And usually we come with my cousin. So I just really want to give the scenario of where we were sitting, because this is kind of important, because God, oh my gosh, God so worked in this. So you have the driver's side, and then my sister sat in the passenger seat that's like right next to me. Is that the passenger seat? The passenger seat next to me? Whatever. So in California, we have the wheel is on the left, the passenger is on the right, and then my cousin usually would sit right behind me, okay? I just want that to be clear. That's where he would usually sit. He had just gotten off work that day, and he does like construction and stuff like that, so he's like exhausted. And he actually came out to the car, partly to the car, and ended up turning around and then going back inside. So, like, we were like joking, like we're like, oh, we're gonna leave and like pretend like we're leaving. He had said he wanted to go, and then he's like, he came out to the car and was already to get in the car. He had his shoes and everything, and he's like, you know what, I'm tired, I'm gonna go back home and I'm not gonna go. Thank the Lord he did not go. Like, that was the one I was like, oh, like, why would he just come out here with his shoes on and like decide not to go? God knew. God made that kid tired, and I'm so grateful for that. So we ended up going on our drive, but we were driving by this Methodist church that's kind of out there where we were at. And I remember sitting clearly, we were sitting at a stop sign, and we were just sitting there for a while because I didn't know where we were gonna turn, because we were just, and my sister's like, Abigail, we need to go. I'm like, well, there's nobody behind me and nothing ever happens here. Like, it's not like there's gonna be something that's major that's gonna happen here, because just the location that we were at, like literally, you wouldn't expect anything to happen. So then we ended up deciding to go straight, and we went another like half a mile or so, and we came to another stop sign with a blind left-hand turn. Okay, keep in mind, my cousin could have been in the back seat, and it was on my side. So when you're taking the left, so this is like my car, I would be on this side. When you're taking a left, you're going out, and then you're taking a left that way. So it's a blind left-hand turn, which means that if there's any cars that were coming the other way, they would end up hitting you. And that's basically what happened. So I'm gonna try and give like a little diagram with my hands here. So this was my car right here. This was the other car. So they were coming down, and I was pulling out. So we would have been about here. We have the back end of my car, which this is where my cousin would have been sitting. The driver had basically said that they were trying not to hit me because they didn't want to hit me, the driver, because they didn't want to injure me or anything. So they nicked the back of my car. I'll show a picture of what it looked like. They nicked the back of my car and they went into a ditch. So I ended up swerving like this to where my car was kind of like this, and their car ended up going into a ditch. I don't have a picture of their car because I was such in shock that I didn't even get pictures of their car. The picture that I got of my car was like after the whole accident had happened. It was like a couple of days later. And oh my goodness, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the grace of God. I'm telling you right now, God was so at work in that accident. God was so at work in that accident. Number one, my cousin was tired and didn't want to go. He could have been injured. It hit the back of my like light area and basically shifted my whole back trunk over. But if my cousin was in that back seat, he could have been injured. I was not injured. My sister was not injured. Nobody in the other car was injured at all. And I'm telling you, this car was in a ditch. Like, they had to get a tow truck to come and get it out. It was smashed. I don't even know how the kids got out of the car, but it was a complete, it was a wreck. Like, they could have died. And the whole situation, like the 2 or so weeks after, like a week or two after that accident, I remember like, I didn't even want to think about it. I didn't even want to look at the accident. But here's the thing that I really want to be so clear and so aware to you, is that how God worked in that accident. None of us were hurt. All of us were out of the car walking. We were all walking around. I mean, yeah, we were all like in tears, crying and freaking out because panic. I mean, it was a very traumatic experience, but all of us were walking, all of us were breathing. Nobody was hurt at all. Again, no scratch, nothing. The people in the other car, like, they were not hurt. And that is like a miracle in and of itself. I'm telling you, like, it was definitely a miracle. And I remember, well, I don't remember, my mom remembers, because I ended up calling her. Like, I was shaking, like frantically calling her. I probably should have called 911, but I didn't realize that there was a car in the ditch, because I literally did not get out of my car because I was just freaking out. So I called my mom and I told her, like, I was in an accident, like, I need you to come out here. So they ended up coming out there. My mom ended up hearing some of the other kids saying, like, you know, I don't believe in God, but like, I don't know what just happened. They're like, we are all like, okay, we were all alive, we were all safe and everything. And my mom kind of basically butted into that conversation, like, no, it was God. I mean, it really was. It was such a God thing. Like, God was at work. And they're like, to the people that say that miracles don't happen anymore, you know, God, you know, Jesus doesn't come and, you know, make dead people walking. I'm telling you, like, in that scenario, looking at how everything happened, you know that song, you guys probably heard the song Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood? That is basically what happened. Like, I cannot explain it in any other way. Like, the kid said that he thought, and I'm telling you, it's a kid who was like a year older than me, and he basically said, you know, I was trying to like think like where was I gonna hit her car. My dad was like, you cannot just think that quickly within that short amount of time. Like, you can't. I mean, I look at that and I think, like, that was so God. It was so God. Jesus totally took the wheel of that car and protected each and every one of those kids that were in that vehicle, and protected my life as well and my sister's life. It was a total miracle in and of itself. And I don't share this story because I'm like wanting the attention for, you know, like, feel sorry for you because you were in an accident. I say this because God is 100% at work in every single person's life. His timing is so perfect. I mean, I can't even, like, I mean, you look at the what ifs of things. What if my cousin was in that vehicle? Where the car was hit, he could have been injured. He could have been in the hospital. He might not even be here right now. And like, just every single thing that came into place, like, God had it laid out. Like, he knew what was gonna happen, and he knew that we were all gonna live to tell about it. I honestly regret some things from the situation. I regret that I didn't get out of the car and go talk to the other person, because that would have been such a time to be able to share the gospel with somebody. But at the same point in time, I was in panic mode. I was freaking out. My hands were jittery. It was horrible. Since then, I have had a lot of like, just kind of like just like the replay of the accident in my mind. And I also like want to like say this to those of you that have been in a car accident and that do have a traumatic experience. It's like this like replay in their mind. I want to tell you that it's okay that you feel the things that you feel. It's okay that, you know, you might be freaked out about, you know, even getting in a car again. One thing that like my family has like really been like big about is like, you're getting in a car again, you're going to be driving again. And like the first couple of times it was really difficult, it was really hard, but at the same point in time, I'm driving now, and I mean, I don't enjoy driving as much as I did, but I'm still able to drive, and like, I don't have the fear necessarily of driving. I mean, there's definitely like a little bit of fear involved, but I just kind of like push over it. I really want to talk about something that I really learned and throughout this whole entire thing, and that is the value of life. When you watch your whole life just basically flash before your eyes, like you imagining it like right now, like you literally, I mean, I literally watched how my life was protected. Of course, in that instant, I was so freaked out. Like for the first like week or so, like I was so freaked out, but looking back on it and having the memory of it, like I basically watched God protect my life like that. Like, I am so incredibly grateful that yes, the experience was terrible, and I hate the after fact of it because it's not a cheap thing. It's not fun afterwards, but in looking back at it, you literally are watching God protect you and watching God come through. It makes me very much more aware of how precious life can be. And it makes me so aware of how God was at work and how I could have lost my life within a second. Every second of this life counts. Every single one. Like, I could have lost my life within a second, and every single second after that, it counts. Like, we have to pay attention to that, because if we don't, this whole entire life is just gonna fly by. And if we are not at work serving God, I mean, we're gonna miss so many opportunities. And that was one of the biggest things that I learned from that accident, is that we have so many opportunities that we're given each and every day, so many decisions that we have to make, and we better be paying attention that we're doing it for God's glory. We better be talking to the people that are hard to talk to be sharing the gospel with people that maybe we're uncomfortable with it. Maybe it's hard to have those conversations, but to be doing so. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm perfect at it. I don't have seconds to waste. I don't have time to waste here. There are things that need to be mended now. There are things that we need to be doing right now, and we need to be doing what God is calling us to do, because we don't have a whole much longer. We don't know how long we have, but to think that you can die within a second, you better be making those other seconds count. We don't have much time here on this earth to live. And yeah, there's so many things I could go into of what I learned from this accident. It makes you cherish the lives that are around you so much more as well. To be honest, in some sense, I'm glad that to some degree, not reliving the accident, but thinking about the accident, because it puts things into perspective so much. It shows you, you know, the things that you do that don't matter, and the things that you do that do matter. And yeah, that was the story of my accident. My biggest prayer here is that it points you to God's word and God's will for your life, and points you back to Him, because at the end of the day, that's my whole goal here. And that accident made it so much more clear that that is my whole entire goal, is to point people back to Jesus, because pointing people to myself isn't going to do anything. It isn't going to save anybody. It isn't going to save anybody from the eternity that they would be spending in hell. And so my prayer is that you'd be encouraged by this video. I just really want to say a huge thank you to all of the people that, I don't really know who's watching this video, but there were so many people that came into my situation, that shared funny stories of some of the accidents that they've had. Like, I mean, there are some that are like really like dangerous and like really scary and like look very traumatic, and then there are others that I actually laughed at, and they laughed at as well. I'm just so grateful for all the people that came in and shared their experiences with their car accidents, and letting me know that I'm not the only one, and that there were some people that have been in 3, 4, 5 accidents. I also want to thank you to all the people that were praying for me, that were continually praying for me, all of the people in my church family, my immediate family. Those prayers helped a ton. And also thank you to some friends that I've made through Instagram, online. Emily, a good friend of mine, had actually made a post, asked prayer from all of her followers, and posted the same thing on her story. Just looking at that, I'm so incredibly grateful and thankful for her, and that she decided to ask for prayer and seek prayer, and all of my other friends that are on Instagram, and immediate friends in like real life as in like that I can see in person. But yeah, there were so many people that prayed for me, and I'm so incredibly thankful for that. So with that being said, that is all for today's video, and I'll see you guys on my next one.